most of us have been socialized to respect power, to respect money, and we see that as a way out of our condition. So we're not thinking about what can we do as a collective to uplift the whole. We're thinking about, I see this person, whether it be Kamala Harris, whether it be Oprah, whether it be LeBron James, Michael Jordan, I want to get to that point, right? So we live in a society that is based where things are based on a reward versus consequence type of thing. I tell people all the time, like, we don't raise people to be good people. We raise people to fear consequences. You know, we put up with the normalcy of like white American society for so long, and not realizing that like the things that we think are normal is what is actually the problem, right? And so there's a quote that Dr. King says where he talks about how, you know, he said the white folks that came out to support him in Selma and in Birmingham were really just outraged at the extremist behavior towards black people, but they were never really committed to genuine equality, right? So after 1966, when he started talking, speaking out against the war in Vietnam, when he started talking about creating equality in education, when he started talking about getting rid of poverty, that's when they flipped on him, because he got away from that I have a dream. He got away from that, you know, what they kind of call like that turn the other cheek mentality. And he started speaking about America actually now has to put money behind solving these problems. He was like, it didn't cost America any money to integrate restaurants or to integrate buses or to integrate a public park, but it's going to cost money to get rid of poverty. It's going to cost money to pay black people reparations, and that's what America doesn't want to do. So that's one of the things that I, you know, that I think has been kind of sitting on my mind a lot, is like, especially with Dr. King, you know, MLK Day just passing, is like, we always celebrate, you know, Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, but that was in 1963. He died and he was assassinated in 1968. So that time between 1963 and 1968, I think, are some of the most important years of Dr. King's life, and where he did a lot of his political maturity, because Malcolm X was assassinated in 65, right? And so it's funny because it's like, you always have people who try to say, oh, you know, I'm more Malcolm than Martin. But it's like, if you study Dr. King's life all the way to the end of his life,
he became very Malcolm-y.
And then study not only that, but study the politics of the Black Panther Party, and then study the politics of Dr. King 1966 and on. It's almost identical, right? And when Dr. King was assassinated, the Panthers, they actually protested because they were like, Dr. King was the last friend we had in that movement, right? So that says a lot about who Dr. King was before. And, you know, and the last sermon he was supposed to give this sermon the day, I think, after he got assassinated. And it's a sermon called Why America May Go to Hell.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people haven't read that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, we have to really, you know, and that's what I mean when I say, like, I don't set out to offend people, but I really set out to challenge the normalcy of things, the things that you don't think twice about, you know, are the things that I think we should be questioning. I'm not really questioning why, you know, Donald Trump got elected. I know why Donald Trump got elected. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm questioning is why we allowed the Biden administration to get by with funding a genocide in the Middle East and Gaza, right? I'm getting at, why are we allowing the Democratic Party? You know, we knew that the Republicans had put out Project 2025. Okay, what plan did the Democratic Party put out to tell us that this is what we're gonna do to counter that? What was that? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we're not asking enough out of the people that are telling us that they're on our side. We're just asking that we return to normalcy. We want things, you know, because it's like, when Democrats are in office, that doesn't mean problems go away. It just means those things are quiet, right? And people, that's what people want. They want quiet. They don't want justice. They just want peace.
Yeah.
But having things being peaceful doesn't mean things are just. You know what I'm saying? And there's I forget what it's somewhere.
Start the time clock. Okay.
It's somewhere in Luke where Jesus says, you know, I have not come to bring peace, but I've come to bring the sword, right? And he says, I've come to set a father against his son.
One of my favorite scriptures.
You know what I'm saying? And a daughter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even in the Bible, it talks about how justice and righteousness is not always going to come through peace. There has to be conflict. You know what I'm saying? There has to be friction, because that's how things change. So for me, it's like, I don't run away from friction. That's why I'm like, I don't know if y'all want to put me in front of a mic. a lot. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people want me to start a podcast because it's like friction.
Use the hell out of that, my brother, please.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like friction is how we're gonna move forward. You know, if we keep trying to run away from it and keep trying to take a peaceful approach, I understand it's comfortable, but comfort is not what is gonna bring change. And it's like we understand it on a personal level, right? When you go to the gym, it's like it's not always comfortable having to lift heavy weights. You know what I'm saying? It's not comfortable waking up the next morning being sore, but you understand that that's what it's going to take for you to get where you want to get with your health or your body goals or whatever. So it's like, why don't we apply those same principles on a collective level, understanding that we're going to have to push ourselves to some uncomfortable levels, you know, doing things that are outside of what's approved or what's within the boundaries of the law or whatever, to be able to actually bring the change that we need to have in society. So, you know, I say all that to say, you know, if people really want that, then I'll get in front of, you know what I'm saying? I'll get a podcast. But if people not looking for that, I don't even want to entertain the idea, because it's like y'all not gonna hear what I really have to say.
Dog, get in front of a podcast, please. Because and people like I hate how you ended that. It's simply because he was like I'm gonna drop all this gold and then be like, yeah, but y'all niggas not trying to hear it.
But then, you know what I'm saying?
I ain't saying
but
much.
Listen though, it's funny because so when I was in high school, right? Because I've been this way since I was like 14, 15. The first like piece of revolutionary literature I read was the autobiography of Malcolm X. And that's the book that I tell everybody that changed my life. That's like, to me, that's like my personal Bible.
Powerful book.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I had to create a new religion, that would be my Bible, right? Because I give that book away. Every time I buy a copy of that book, I end up giving it away. You know, but I don't feel bad about giving it away, because like I know this is gonna change somebody's life.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, since I was like 15, 16, since I read that book, this is the kind of stuff that I've been trying to like get across to people. And I remember, you know, because during that time, Obama was still president. And imagine being a black man in America criticizing another black man, especially one that is the first black president of the United States, right? Not only that, being an African man criticizing a man whose father is from the continent of, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but people didn't want to hear that. People didn't want to hear that white supremacy can function with a black face at the head of it, right? People didn't want to hear that. People didn't want to hear the fact that Obama went down to...
I need to write that down.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people didn't want to hear the fact that Obama went down to Flint, Michigan, where a bunch of black people are dealing with a water issue with lead in their water, and he went down there and they drank this glass of water trying to make it look like everything was okay, like basically making a mockery of people's plight. You know what I'm saying? People don't want to hear the fact that Obama was the one who expanded ICE, right? And all the deportations that happened under his administration. People don't want to hear the fact that he had the opportunity to codify Roe versus Wade, and then when he got in office said that wasn't a priority. People don't want to hear the fact that he threw his own pastor under the bus during his second election run, because his pastor was, you know what I'm saying? Because America, you know, his pastor preached a sermon called Goddamn America. Right, you know what I'm saying? And so now you throw your own pastor under the bus for the sake of politics. You know what I'm saying?
And
so
actually,
it's like...
I think that sermon that he preached was actually also inspired by Dr. King's
yeah,
sermon
very similar. You know what I mean? So it's like... I'm looking at all of this, and you trying to tell me that this man is somehow a symbol of progress for us, you know what I'm saying, or for Black America, or for, you know, Black people worldwide, and I'm looking at his deeds. I'm not looking at the symbolism of it, you know, because Malcolm X...
That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's symbolism. There's no substance. It's just symbolic.
It's very symbolic.
A lot of our victories are symbolic, but they don't have any
there's no substance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And Malcolm X told us they'll give us symbolic victories, but they'll never give you the actual material progress you're looking for. And Dr. King said the same thing, right? He said when he went to Chicago in 1966, young people actually booed him. This is the first time he got booed ever. And he was like, they booed me because I told them, you know, I sold them this dream, and now they've passed, you know, we have the Civil Rights Act that's passed and the Voting Rights Act that's passed, but they're not seeing any material progress, right? So, I mean, so it just goes down to all that.
What you just said, everything you just said is actually very Malcolm, very Martin.
Yeah.
In that you can look at the respected Black leader and still say, brother, you wrong on a public platform.
Yeah.
And that's necessary.
It's very necessary.
That kind of, and you can still respect said individual.
Right.
You can still respect and work with said individual. Now, some people I don't even, there's no level of respect. If I have to work with you, I will, i.e. Trump. If I have to work with you, then I will. But there's no level of respect there. But you can still respect a leader like Obama, and still say, yeah, I respect you, but brother, you were wrong on certain terms, and we need to be able to have that and not
Yep.
be and not be afraid to do that. Otherwise, we keep ourselves blind we keep ourselves blind and we hold ourselves back because we can't progress if somebody doesn't drag truth out into light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like what you're saying, like with comfort, it's like you can't have progress. Is you can't build strength without resistance. You know, it's the same with like going to the gym. So it's like
Yep.
we want things to be peaceful, we want things to be comfortable, but that's the enemy of progress. And
Mhm.
then when you're really exposed to a lot of things and you think as what they call you radical or revolutionary, and if you like what you said, the status quo in itself is an issue.
Right.
So if everybody's used to the status quo, you trying to get to something that's actually beneficial, you're gonna seem like a revolution. You're gonna seem radical, and a lot of times it's because, you know, there's a lot of people who are, I guess, have privilege within our community and have
Absolutely.
opportunities that are leaders, but the system has done certain things to bring those people up within the system. So then the people who are most capable and most equipped to fight the system are now invested in it.
Absolutely.
And you see that happen a lot. And we can get into it because a lot of times people kind of point at people in frats, like the D9 in the row. And I wanted to bring that up.
I've had the same criticisms. I've had the same criticism of the D9 because I think a lot of times what people are looking for is a seat at the table and not understanding that this is not the table we need to be sitting at in the first place.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I saw the entirety of the D9 get behind Kamala Harris, I had some very heavy criticisms of that. Because we have to understand that putting a black person at the head of the United States military industrial complex, putting a black person at the head of the United States prison industrial complex, putting a black person at the head of this white supremacist imperialist society does not really bring any gains forward for the collective of black people, right? And so it's like we have to get away from this idea that we can somehow elevate ourselves, because and one of the other things that is really mind-boggling to me is when you look at the foundation of American society and when you really look at the foundation of global capitalism as we know it today, it was founded on the transatlantic slave trade, right? And you cannot untangle or detach racism from capitalism, right? And so when we try to gain favor within the capitalist system, not understanding that the survival and the workings of the capitalist system is based upon us remaining at the bottom. Yeah, they might let a few people come up to the top, right? But I mean, even during slavery, they had overseers, right? Even during slavery, they had a few people that would be in the house. During colonization, they had a few Africans that were willing to stab our revolutionary leaders in the back to gain favor from, you know what I'm saying, the white power structure. So it's like they're always gonna let a few people, a very selected handful that they know that if we put them in this position of power, they're not gonna do anything to disrupt the status quo, right? But then what they're gonna do is that they understand most of us have been socialized to respect power, to respect money, and we see that as a way out of our condition. So we're not thinking about what can we do as a collective to uplift the whole. We're thinking about, I see this person, whether it be Kamala Harris, whether it be Oprah, whether it be LeBron James, Michael Jordan, I want to get to that point, right? So we live in a society that is based where things are based on a reward versus consequence type of thing. I tell people all the time, like, we don't raise people to be good people. We raise people to fear consequences. That's two different things, because a lot of times we get punished for doing the things that are right. So if we're raised in a society where we're raising people to fear consequences and people get punished for doing the things that are right and rewarded for selfish behavior, rewarded for behavior that is ultimately destructive to the collective well-being, that's the behavior that we're going to see more people focus and put their energy towards, right? So people are going to get their money, get out the hood, and never look back, right? Or you get people that are going to leave Africa, come here, make really well for themselves, but never think about what they can do back home.
And then also justify
it.
them leaving and not going back when they start benefiting from
Exactly.
the very system that is keeping those people down. Like,
Right.
I know somebody, and I lost a lot of respect for this dude. He grew up in incredible poverty, like incredible poverty in South Carolina, and brother will look at those people and say, he'll look at them and be like, you know, I got myself out. You can do the
Right.
same
Why
thing
can't you
too.
do the same thing? Right.
As if to say, like, you weren't there with them and know the struggles that they went through.
And it's crazy because I see that happen, particularly with a lot of people in the younger generation of Africans who live like abroad, who live outside of Africa, where they grew up seeing their parents like send money and resources back home, and yes, it took a toll on our parents, but our parents understood that we got to do something for our people that are still back home, whatever little it is that we can do, right? But all a certain generation seems to understand is that it was hard, so I'm not gonna do that. Why can't those people back home do better for themselves, right? And I've seen a lot of like videos from younger Africans saying that like, oh, like when I grow up, I'm not gonna be like my parents sending money back home, yada yada yada. And it's like, to a certain extent, I get it, but at the same time, you're not taking into full consideration the conditions that exist back home for that to have to be the case. Because a lot of our parents came here not with the intention to stay here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I hear that a lot from the older, like a lot of the old generation would tell us like, I never intended to stay here this long. I was gonna come, get my education, make a little money, and take it back home. So it's like we have to understand that as well. It's like staying here was never really part of the plan. Right. But now that we're here, we understand that this is a country that benefits from the looting of resources from Africa. Let's take these resources and go back home.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
I just realized this. We didn't go through none of this stuff because we started having this dope conversation.
We did.
And just started running.
Yeah, I figured
don't nobody know who you are. We ain't introduce
we
you.
Gonna edit that back.
We ain't do none of that because obviously what you're saying is dope. I want to hear more.
Yeah.
But I also want to hear I want to hear more about like who you are, what you so we can dig even deeper into.
I got you.
Because I'm like, dang, we talking and you're saying stuff, and I'm like. We
just got into it.
Because he just started spitting
I didn't
want to
stop it, though.
We just started having the
conversation. Yeah. But nah, we definitely like what. Who?
I guess introduce the show and then
at this point,
do we still need to do that or
we don't even need to do that at this point. We can just start, but at least let's introduce him. So,
okay, Let me. I actually wrote some notes on this because you're multi-hyphenate. I want to make sure I get.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So of course this is Fidelis Folifac. I can do this much. Good Georgia Noob 2017. My sayings right here.
Appreciate that.
Good brother. Born in Cameroon, but lives in Georgia. As a community organizer, Pan-African activist, revolutionary hip-hop artist. I already said good Noob, but that's on the list too. Has a community farm in Cameroon, and Dad has some real estate that he's working on developing. So very much tied to the continent, very much active in the continent, and then very much working on how do we improve ourselves globally and build our community here.
For sure.
So definitely happy to have you on. I mean, we done already went
through
like half the episode
stuff,
already.
So.
But I guess we can. Well, do we want to do Wahala now, or do we want to? I mean, while we already interrupted, we might as well. do that.
Good.
I mean, we can do Wahala too, but maybe we could also do trivia here too.
Trivia?
I want to see because we got another African. It'll be fun.
Okay. All right. So, I guess the Wahala is gonna be trivia.
Okay, we can do that.
So we got pen and paper. Ashley, you got paper? So if you just give us 3 sheets. If you want to play 2, we want you to play. So do 4 sheets. Okay. And we need 4 pens. I got a pencil. I got a pen right here. But what we finna do is I'm gonna set a timer for 2 minutes, and you gotta write down as many African countries as you can.
Okay.
2 minutes.
All right.
And we gonna see who come out.
The
on top.
first country I'm gonna write down is not Liberia. I'll probably be the second country I write down. You already know the country I'm gonna do.
And I'm a noob, so I better not fall under pressure right now.
All right.
I appreciate it.
You got a pen, please, cousin? Is there a pen over there?
You gonna play too, Ashley?
I am gonna play.
Okay.
My paper, my pen.
All right. All
All
right.
right, all right. No cheating now. No
Start
cheating.
that
Yeah.
timer.
All right, I'm gonna start. Ready, set, go.
Oh shoot.
My handwriting is atrocious. I'm gonna let you know
I
right.
know. That's too long. I'm gonna just write the abbreviations. I'm actually kind of killing it right now.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, I didn't fold under pressure.
I feel like it's not gonna be enough time for me to write down all the jokes that I know.
Nah, it's 54 countries.
What else we got?
You already running out.
Right.
No, I can't even keep up with my brain.
I stopped for a second. Oh, they gonna be mad because I put them so far down on the list. They be alright.
We already know who that is.
Exactly.
Hilarious.
All right, I'm gonna have to dictate this because like my handwriting right now.
What's that? Them people called? The people with the what's it called?
Nigga, pick something else. Like,
What's them other people called? Who's down there? Oh, that one. Oh yeah, my bad. What's them people called?
27 seconds.
Damn, left.
Yeah.
Damn,
Crazy.
I got more. I know it. It's the one. The people's with what's it called? Them.
Don't look at me.
He said them.
My list is embarrassing. So.
Oh my god.
Did you stop already? You ran out.
I did.
What?
Did I put them on here?
Y'all gotta like bear with me. Yes, my dad is African, but I was raised around them, but wasn't
All right.
raised.
Pencil down. Pencil down. Pencil
All
down.
right, all right.
But this is not an exhaustive list of the countries
Right,
that I know.
right.
Yeah,
I just ran out of time. I just want to let it be known here.
All right. Count them up. We're going order. Count yours up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25.
Okay.
All right. Oh, you want me to go?
Oh, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
Bro,
20,
relax.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Oh, okay. There we go.
25, yeah.
I feel like I might have lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Swear to God. How many you got?
We don't need that.
He said, we don't even need to advertise it.
Let's see who got countries that other people didn't get. Of course, I put Liberia at the top because obvious.
Me too.
Then Djibouti, because I love Djibouti. I don't know why I just like the name Djibouti. Sierra Leone, Burkina Faso, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, Mauritania, Morocco, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, Niger, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin, Madagascar, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan, Cameroon, Congo, Senegal.
Okay.
Right.
Right. All right, I got Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Africa, Lesotho, Congo, Rwanda, Kenya, Gambia, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Chad, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Uganda, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Central African Republic.
How did you remember Lesotho and Chad?
That's a great question.
I got it on the list.
Really?
Yeah. All right. Sierra Leone, Egypt, Cameroon, Liberia, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Rwanda. It's funny. I heard you say Cote d'Ivoire out loud. I'm like, I put Cote d'Ivoire. Like, neither one of us put Ivory Coast.
Yeah, it's called Cote
Because
d'Ivoire.
it's Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
But what was that? Guinea, Rwanda, Burundi, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia,
Burundi.
South Africa, Nigeria, Mozambique, Seychelles, Madagascar, Djibouti, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Congo, Sudan, Lesotho, and Eswatini.
So I think we've got all of the countries between.
We didn't get all of them.
Yeah.
Nobody
What
said
did we miss?
Morocco.
I said Morocco.
No, I said Morocco.
Oh, nobody
Morocco.
said Mauritania.
I said Mauritania.
He did.
You said Mauritania?
Yeah.
I
Angola?
did.
I didn't say Angola.
Chad?
He said Chad.
Cape,
You said Chad?
Yeah. Nobody said Cape Verde.
I had
Nobody
Cape
said
Verde.
Cape
on my
Verde?
list.
Okay.
I sure did.
You did?
I did. Yeah.
Did anybody say Guinea Bissau?
No.
Nah.
Yeah, I think we missed that one too.
Zamibia or Namibia, my bad.
I said Namibia.
He did.
Zambia.
I did. I said
Is that
Zambia. Yeah.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. I think
Everybody
we
said
covered.
Egypt.
Somebody say
Yeah.
Zamunda.
Nobody said Wakanda.
Right. I think we covered. a good bit though.
We did.
Yeah,
We really
covered a good
did.
bit.
Look at
Yeah.
y'all.
It
That's-
means Cote d'Ivoire means Ivory Coast. It's right next to
all
me.
right. No, that's
Yeah.
good.
No,
Look at
that's a
this.
good. That's a good. We did good. We did good.
All right. I guess now we can get back into the conversation. I actually, so like specifically with the frat thing, and sometimes people using like saying that the frat is gatekeeping certain things.
Yeah.
If you look at it in the city of Atlanta, which we in Atlanta right now, Atlanta's had 7 black mayors. Every single one has been D9. Maynard Jackson was an alpha. Andrew Young was an alpha. Bill Campbell was a Q. Shirley Franklin was an AKA. Kasim Reed was a Kappa. Keisha Lance Bottoms was a Delta. And Andre is a Nuke. So one, it begs the question, do you have to be D9 to be the mayor of Atlanta, which is, of course, a huge, like, position of power?
Or not even just that. Do you have to be in any of these elite black organizations to
You kinda have to
achieve certain levels of leadership? Because when I think about it, literally everybody who has, except for Obama, he's the only one. He's not, before his election, he was not attached to anything.
Well,
historically, like
not mainstream, but there is certain
the
things.
Boule.
Not even that, but Boule is kind of like the precursor to the D9. But yeah, I think his stepfather was somebody. I think he had some correlation to the Bushes.
white dude. Yeah.
I'm talking about as far as black.
Yeah, but that's even more direct tie.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a certain as what we say in sort of socialist political theory, what's called the petite bourgeoisie. It's kind of like that class right below capitalists, which is like you have enough wealth to sort of be above the middle class, but you're still not like top 1%, right? You know what I'm saying? And so
the 1% still looks at you like you
right,
are poor.
You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of D9 kind of falls into that category because one, it's sort of like as we know, there's a lot of networking opportunities in there, right? And so it's like once you belong, you kind of gain access to a lot of things that can elevate you into a certain class. But there's also a lot of respectability politics that has to come with it, right? I remember during when the Black Lives Matter movement was really at its climax and people were really taken to the streets. I remember certain D9 organizations telling their members they couldn't wear paraphernalia if they went out to protest, and to me that was kind of again something that I heavily criticized because when we look at our D9 organizations, we are possibly.
But they said don't wear your paraphernalia to go protest,
right? And it's like when I look at D9 organizations, we are possibly the most organized entity of in terms of black people.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of resources and there's just a sheer number of people that belong to these organizations, and if we were to truly mobilize that for a truly revolutionary purpose, imagine what that could be.
We just had this conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's a lot of different there's been a lot of different organizations that I've looked at in that way, but particularly the D9, not only because of what we have, but also because the D9 has such a strong foundation amongst the young black people. And historically, young people, especially students, have been sort of the driving force behind a lot of revolutionary movements. When you look at, for example, the civil rights movement, right? It started with black elders that were boycotting during the Montgomery bus boycott and other things that they were doing. But when young people really came into it, they kind of brought that new life into it and carried it and took it to a different level. When you look across the globe at revolutionary movements that have really taken off, when young people come into them, right, that's when the new life comes into it and they really take it where it needs to go. And a lot of that has to do with young people and students, particularly, kind of being the most, in terms of responsibilities, being the most free
Yeah.
group of people, in any collective. So with us having such a strong hold amongst young people and students in college, it's like, imagine if we were really using that potential for change that goes beyond just political and wealth aspirations, right? And a lot of organizations have, charitable initiatives, but charity and revolution are two different things.
Yeah. I
Charity is like a
agree.
band-aid to, what I'm saying, a band-aid solution.
It's not solving the root
But
cause.
Exactly.
to your point, revolution doesn't happen until there's pressure built up. Like people gotta be like mad, like some crazy stuff has to happen for somebody to decide to get the cojones to be like, you know what, we're going to revolt because we're tired of it now. And unfortunately, we're too comfortable.
We're
That- but that's-
pacified.
That's another way,
too
though.
We're
comfortable.
pacified.
Because if you
Mhm.
can, like, that's another way that it works against us. Because as we mentioned, like a lot of the people in the D9 is you are like toward you are leaders in society. You tend to
Mhm.
be have more opportunity, have more influence, and you have more resources. And at the same time, you have more opportunities to succeed within the system. So it's like that pressure doesn't build up because the people who are most equipped to lead a revolution are
Right.
succeeding within the system. They're also the people that are most invested in the system staying
Exactly.
intact. So then,
You don't want nothing to go against that because it's
yeah,
like, nah, I'm gonna lose the little bit of privilege
everything
I've
that I done
gained.
built up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Then you turn around and you tell the people that are frustrated, hey, let's calm it down. Now you're sort of, you
You
play
used
that
against it,
overseer
yeah.
role a little bit, right? To
Mhm.
where the system takes you and puts you in front of the frustrated people, and you're like, oh, let's calm it down. We can do this. We can do this a different way, right? But then things never change. You
Yeah,
know,
they incentivize to keep the system intact, and it
right?
just perpetuates. And it's not to say that it can't be leveraged, but we as members of the D9, like I mean, I ain't renounced my letters. I ain't got no plans to do that. I'm still throw the I'm still shimmy. So I'm not trying to. I'm not saying like yes, we're critical of a D9. We're critical of our brothers and sisters, but it's more so like let's let's expose people because a lot of times people don't even understand really how the system works.
Hmm.
Like that's really how sinister white supremacy and racism and systemic racism is that you don't really understand how it works and you don't need to understand it for you to be a part of it and perpetuate it. So us just bringing this up is more so just bringing exposure, bringing light to the issue
Hmm.
so that we know what's going on. We know how the different players are involved. We know how we're involved and we know how we could potentially change course and
Right.
use something that's been used to quell our, us trying to make progress
Hmm.
and use it as leverage to be able to make progress even faster than what we were doing before.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
All right, brother. Want to ask you some questions.
Yeah, go
First
ahead.
question is, what are you working on right now? What are you doing? What's happening? Because I'm sure you got world changing ventures happening.
Man, I got a whole lot of things going on. Well, the first thing is when I went back home to Cameroon in December of 2023, um, I was able to see firsthand a lot of the impacts of the crisis that Cameroon has been going through um, since like 2016. And so, there had been some, political unrest that, turned into some violent clashes. And so people had been displaced. A lot of people lost their lives. So we have, a lot of people that are internally displaced in the country. Food insecurity is, through the roof. People are lacking in access to very critical, needs and things like that. So one of the things that I was able to coming out of that travel is we established some community farms. And so it kind of started off as me wanting to help a family member of mine who was also an internally displaced person. I helped him set up a garden so he could, grow some food, feed his family. And I just told him like, whatever extra you have, sell it, take the money, help, take care of your family. He started doing that. Somebody, saw what he was doing. They were impressed. They gave him 2 plots of land to turn into a farm, and so then we started farming that. So I subsidized the development of those farms, and then now it's kind of turned into a project where we have other internally displaced people who are also farming. We have one guy particularly, his name is Mr. Vincent, who just had a huge tomato harvest recently, and I mean, he's been so grateful for what we've been able to do. Um, and so with that, the main thing with that is one of the needs of that project is like funding. So that's one of the things I'm trying to secure now is just a decent amount of funding, because we have the land, we have people that are ready to put in the work to bring themselves out of this situation. So just looking for some really solid funding that can help kind of develop that. And I don't take anything. I told them, like, I'm not looking for any money from y'all. I'm not, this is not like, I'm not investing in this for a return. I really just want to see Cameroonians be able to bring themselves out of this situation. So that's one of the things I'm doing. That's also tied to a community garden that I have here in Georgia, in Milledgeville, where basically kind of the same thing. Milledgeville is a rural, kind of semi-rural town, in central Georgia, and high poverty. I think the poverty rate in the city is like 40%. Very high food insecurity as well. So I started a community garden there last year. We opened May 19th of 2024, and again, same incentive is just to be able to address those critical needs, particularly food insecurity and poverty. And so I've been doing that for about a year, and that's kind of started to grow into a thing where we're also building with other organizations in the city, to sort of form a coalition movement, really. Because one of the things that I find with a lot of people who want to do good work is, resources are limited when you're trying to do work that is really life changing, right? And so when you have multiple organizations operating in the same space but not collaborating, we're all fighting over the same resources. So one of the things that I'm really trying to push now, in Milledgeville, is for organizations to coordinate, communicate, collaborate, and really coalesce, to where we're able to use our resources more efficiently. If we understand that we're in the same space and we can come together and do the same thing and not have to fight over these resources, we be able to make a bigger and more effective impact on the situation. So that's one of the things that we're pushing. So I've been doing one of the local barbershops down there. We've been holding community events, inviting all the different organizations, all the different organizers in the city to come. Let's sit on a monthly basis and have conversations. Let's figure out what's going on around us, bring things to light, and then figure out how can we all assist with this situation. What is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing? And let's make a real plan, work together, stay in constant communication, and be able to move things forward. So that's also going on. Recently, I also, well, not recently, last year I got involved with a situation going on down in Hancock County, Georgia. There's a black community down there in Sparta, Georgia, that is fighting against the Sandersville Railroad Company, who was trying to take their land through eminent domain. And we recently, actually, I was just up here in Fulton County, the Fulton County Superior Court this past Tuesday. They had a hearing in regards to the issue, about, kind of how it's going to move forward in terms of whether this use of eminent domain is legal or not. Now, something being legal versus something being moral is two different things, right? And so, but this situation's been going on for almost 3 years now. So we've been involved with that community, helping them fight that. We actually have a petition going, trying to raise awareness about it, because I think it's important that, particularly in rural areas, a lot of times people forget about folks down in the rural areas, not just in the United States, but across the world, right? So a lot of issues in rural areas go under the radar. And then another thing that we started recently was we started publishing a monthly newsletter called The New Vanguard. And we just kind of use that to publish all the stuff that we're doing, but also just kind of educate people on different things, kind of challenge certain social norms, talk about things like socialism and communism and why those things are not bad things, right? Challenge, uh, understanding why the election results are not particularly surprising, and things like that, and really calling people to be able to hold the mirror up to themselves and realize, how complacent we have been in our own oppression, you know what I'm saying, for the last few decades, and the fact that we have not, since the I would say at least the late 80s, really led any true any true mass revolutionary movements, right? And then understanding why that is, and a lot of the reasons why we talked about today is just like things that we've been pacified. We've allowed ourselves to be pacified, and we've exchanged our freedoms for money, for certain positions of power. We've bought into the American dream. I guess at a certain point, it's like people realize if we can't beat them, join them. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's the
realized it was actually a nightmare.
right. You know what I mean? So, but people have bought into it. So, I got a lot of things, man. I got my hands on a lot of things. But my goal is really just to make people understand, like, when I talk about Pan-Africanism, when I talk about socialism, when I talk about liberation, these are not just ideas. These are material conditions that I'm trying to materialize. You know what I'm saying? These are things that I'm trying to make a reality, and so I'm trying to put in the work so that people see that it can be done. Something different is possible, because a lot of times it's like, I use Dr. Umar as an example because I think, he's a funny guy, but I think he's kind of, in a sense, made a sort of a joke and a mockery out of Pan-Africanism and the seriousness of it and what it really is supposed to mean. You know what I'm saying? And so I wanted to kind of get back to taking things serious. It's cool to laugh and joke and things like that, but we got to get back to doing the work and actually trying to materialize our freedom. You know what I'm saying? So so that's kind of a lot of what I do, man. I'm doing something, and I volunteered down at our youth detention center, every other Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Just going down there talking to those young guys and letting them know, like, I know y'all be locked up in here and y'all might not get a lot of calls. People might not come see you, but somebody cares about you. You know what I'm saying? So,
man, so I think we pretty much out of time. We've had a really good conversation.
Yeah,
if people
it's
do
been
want to
amazing.
connect with you and just help you out or whatever, how can they reach you?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on Instagram at DA_insane hype. That's like my personal music page. I also have a political page at Self-Determined Pan-Africans. You can follow us there as well to see a lot of the work that we're doing and just kind of follow the political development and journey and things like that. And if you want to reach out to me personally, you can always email me at ffolifac@gmail.com. Yeah, we there. We doing the work. What I'm saying? We're trying to educate the community, trying to move the community forward. And all these things we're talking about, we're trying to make them a reality, And I tell people these next 4 years, I think this is the best opportunity we're going to have in a while to actually move things forward because people are going to be so frustrated, So let's take advantage of that and actually bring people closer to a solution, rather than allow them to continue falling into despair and things like that. So, so that's what I'm trying to accomplish, man. That's my goal. By the end of this 4 years, I want to see a change in our collective.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Man.
No, my God, man. Man, I'm glad you was able to come on. Like, I mean, I ain't seen you in years, but I've been seeing you on social media, and I knew that once you got on here, that it was gonna be like nothing but knowledge and gold. So appreciate you coming out, brother.
Nah, thank y'all for giving me the platform, man.
Yes, sir.
I'll give people a chance to hear me on the mic, but
Hey, man, we'll definitely have you back at some point.
Definitely.
Sure.
Anytime. Let me know. Yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Sure, brother.
Yes, sir.
Right.
All right, y'all. That's another episode of Afronomics with my boy Fidelis, right?
Yes, sir.
Fidelis, because your name it means faithful or faith, right? Yeah. Because it's a song I know from a song. But my boy Fidelis, and we are always happy to have you all as an art. Wow, you got to do this because I'm messing up.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Catch us. We're gonna have another episode drop in 2 weeks. But as always, stay locked in. Peace.
Sir, appreciate y'all.